In today's video, I will show you how to make this beautiful lacy stitch that can be used for a scarf or baby blanket. The skill level for this stitch is intermediate. I'd say this stitch is a bit complicated, but I will do my best to show every step in great detail. Sometimes I get comments that I go too fast in my videos, and I just want to let you know that there is an option to watch any video slowly. In the lower right corner, click on the settings icon, then click on playback speed, and you can choose at what speed to watch the video. I'm going to use Paintbox yarn and a hook size F 3.75 millimeters. I want to say a quick hello and thank you to Carmen, my online crocheting friend, who encouraged me to start a YouTube channel, and when I finally did, she sent me an online gift card to purchase yarn, and this is the yarn that I purchased. Thank you, Carmen. I so much appreciate your encouragement and support. The written pattern for this stitch is on my blog, lacycrochet.blogspot.com. Okay, let's get started. The multiple for this stitch is 8 plus 3, and for my sample I will start with chain 51. Here I have 51 chains and I'm ready to start with my first row. Into the third chain from the hook, I'm going to make a double crochet. We never count the chain on the hook, we always start counting from the next chain. 1, 2, 3. So into this chain I make a double crochet. The skipped chain and double crochet will count as my first 2 double crochet cluster. And now I'm going to make 2 chains, 1, 2, and into the same chain I'm going to make my second 2 double crochet cluster. So I make a double crochet and I don't finish it, and then I make a second double crochet, and now I finish them together. Now I'm going to skip 3 chains and make a single crochet into the next chain. 1, 2, 3, and into the first chain I make a single crochet. Now again I skip 3 chains, 1, 2, 3, and into the next chain I'm going to make a cluster. So I make my first double crochet, I don't finish it, and I make a second double crochet. Now I finish them together. Then I make 2 chains, 1, 2, and into the same chain I make another cluster from 2 double crochets. I finish them together. Again 2 chains, and into the same chain I make my third cluster. 1 double crochet, I don't finish it, and my second double crochet. Now I finish them together. Again, I skip 3 chains, 1, 2, 3, and into the next fourth chain I make a single crochet. Then I skip 3 chains, 1, 2, 3, and into the next chain I make my clusters again. First cluster, then chain 2, second cluster, chain 2, and my third cluster. Now I skip 3 chains. Make a note here that when you make clusters into one chain, the next chain becomes small and difficult to see, so make sure you are skipping 3 chains and not 4. 1, 2, 3, and I make a single crochet. Then I skip 3 chains, 1, 2, 3, and I make my clusters again. And I'm going to continue crocheting this way to the last 4 chains. Here I am at the end of the first row. I made a single crochet, and now I have 4 chains left. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to skip 3 chains, and into the last chain I will make 2 clusters, not 3. I make my first cluster, then chain 2, and my second cluster. Let's take a look at the first row. In the beginning of the row I have 2 clusters separated by 2 chains. Then I have 3 clusters, and that's my repeating pattern, just 3 clusters. And then at the end of my row, I have 2 clusters again, separated by 2 chains. I'm going to use a stitch marker to mark my first row as the right side. I start my second row with chain 1 turn, and now in top of the very first cluster, I make a single crochet. Next, I make 3 chains, 1, 2, 3, and I'm going to make a double crochet into the next single crochet. My single crochet is right here, and it's very natural and tempting to make my double crochet grabbing the 2 upper loops of my single crochet like this. However, if I turn to the other side, the right side of my work, we can see that the double crochet is shifted to the side. It's not made directly into the single crochet. So I'm going to undo this stitch, and instead I will make my double crochet right in the middle of single crochet like this. So when I turn to the other side, the right side, we can see that the stitches are lined up nicely, and my double crochet is right above my single crochet. Next, I make 3 chains, 1, 2, 3, and I make a single crochet into the middle cluster of the next group of clusters, right here. Again, I make 3 chains, 1, 2, 3, and I make a double crochet into the next single crochet. But again, I'm not going to make it here, but I'm going to make it right in the middle of it, which is a little bit harder to do, but it's gonna look so much better on the right side. Then again, 3 chains, 1, 2, 3, and a single crochet in top of the middle cluster of the next group of clusters. 3 chains, 1, 2, 3, and a double crochet into the middle of the next single crochet. And I continue crocheting this way until the end of this row. I end this row with 3 chains and a single crochet into the top of the last cluster. I start row 3 with chain 1 turn, and I make a single crochet into the first single crochet. Then into the next double crochet, I will make my clusters. I make a first cluster, 2 double crochets unfinished, then I finish them together, then chain 2 and my second cluster, then chain 2 and my third cluster. Then I make a single crochet into the next single crochet right here. Now again, into the next double crochet, I will work 3 clusters separated by 2 chains. My first cluster, then 2 chains, my second cluster, and 2 chains, and my third cluster. Then into the next single crochet, I make a single crochet, and into the next double crochet, I will work my 3 clusters again, and I will continue crocheting this way until the end of this row. I end this row with 3 clusters and a single crochet into the last single crochet. And this is what my work looks like so far. I start my row 4 with 6 chains and turn, and then I will make a single crochet into the top of the middle cluster of the next group of clusters right here. And these 6 chains will count as a first double crochet and 3 chains right here on the top. Next I make 3 chains, 1, 2, 3, and I'm going to make a double crochet into the next single crochet. But again, just like in row 2, I will make my double crochet not over here grabbing the 2 loops on the top, but I'm going to make it right in the middle of the single crochet, so that on the right side my stitches are lined up nicely, one above the other. Then I make 3 chains, 1, 2, 3, and a single crochet into the top of the second cluster of the next group of 3 clusters right here. Then again 3 chains and a double crochet into the next single crochet right in the middle of it. And I continue this way until the end of this row. Here I am at the end of this row. I just made 3 chains and I end with a double crochet into the last single crochet. I start row 5 with 2 chains and turn, and into the first double crochet I make a double crochet. And this is going to count as my first cluster. Then I make 2 chains, and into the same double crochet I make another cluster. 1, 2. Now I make a single crochet into the next single crochet, and into the next double crochet I will work my clusters again. My first cluster, then 2 chains, into the same double crochet I make my second cluster, and 2 chains, and I make my third cluster. Then into the next single crochet I make a single crochet. Now again into the next double crochet I will work 3 clusters, and I will continue crocheting this way until the end of this row. Here I am at the end of this row. I just made a single crochet into single crochet, and now I need to work 2 clusters into the third chain of the turn and chain 6, and I count from the bottom 1, 2, 3, and that's where I make a cluster, then 2 chains and 1 more cluster. And from this point all I need to do is to repeat the rows 2, 5 for the pattern. Here I repeated the rows 2, 5 several times, and this is what my work looks like so far. And if we take a close look, we can see that the stitches are all lined up nicely. So remember that when you are working the even rows, you need to make a double crochet right in the middle of single crochet. I think this could be a very beautiful and lovely stitch for a baby blanket.